Your husband got my wife pregnant. Pay compensation." On the day of a major life event, our wedding, an outrageous statement came out of my brother Derek's mouth. "It was just a mistake. Please pay the compensation," said my sister-in-law, Nicole, breaking down in tears. We were all stunned by the sudden turn of events, but then I couldn't help but start laughing. My name is Jessica. I'm a 32-year-old office worker. Up until I was 29, my life was all about work. Not that I was completely devoted, but I just didn't have any romantic opportunities. However, 3 years have passed since I started dating Andy, whom I met through a friend's introduction. I had never thought about marriage, but when he suddenly said, "Let's get married," I found myself nodding immediately. Truly, you never know what life will bring. Thinking about marriage, the first thing was to tell our parents. When we first went to Andy's parents' house, both of his parents seemed so kind, and I thought we'd get along well. The meeting with my future in-laws went without a hitch. Then it was time to tell my family, which is where my worry began. My father, Patrick, is an ordinary salaried worker, and my mother, Mary, a typical housewife. They're just an average couple, nothing particularly difficult about them. But the problem isn't my ordinary parents. The problem is my not-so-ordinary brother, Derek. Derek, who's 3 years older than me and now 35, married 5 years ago. He and his wife, my sister-in-law Nicole, who's the same age as him, don't have any children. It's their issue as a couple, and I don't really think much of it. My parents never pressure them about grandchildren, saying that life is a gift. However, Nicole's family seems to be pushy about it. "Jessica, since you're not married, you wouldn't understand this kind of trouble. You're lucky," she often says to me. I just thought it was tough for her, but when I mentioned it to a friend, she was surprised and said, "Isn't that a sarcastic remark about you not being married?" I laughed it off. "What? Really? Is that sarcasm?" That's overthinking it. I don't plan to become such a negative person. Saying my relationship with Nicole is neither particularly close nor bad, just a bit awkward, but with my actual brother Derek, it's different. He's always been troublesome. To put it simply, he's not satisfied unless he's above me. Since we were kids, "You're really bad at studying. You're a girl with no popularity among boys. You're not even loved by our parents." He's always said things like that. On the other hand, "I got 100 points today. I got another gift from a girl. Our parents love me more," Derek would brag. But I know the truth. The tests he shows off with good grades are either easy tests done after failing the real ones or lower grade review tests. He never shows his actual grades that matter. Those go straight to the trash. As for the gifts, he begs for my birthday present. Anything will do, even something cheap, and comes home with little chocolates or candies. Just really small things. As for our parents' love, that's just non-existent from my perspective. Our parents have always been fair to both of us. In a way, I feel sorry for Derek, so I've never been bitter towards him, just watched him with a cold eye and maintained a proper distance. Derek, too, started working, but his company has some issues with the work environment. There's hardly any salary increase, and the bonuses are like pocket money, sometimes not even paid out. His salary is too low for living alone, so he's still at our parents' house. In contrast, the company I joined is not a major corporation, but it's fairly large. There are annual promotions, and bonuses are decent. This seemed to have hurt Derek's pride, and his sarcasm escalated. "No matter how much you dress up, you just look worse," and threw away all my makeup. "Must be nice to have a big salary. Give me some pocket money," and took money from my wallet right in front of me. That time, it escalated into a big fight that was unbearable, and I soon moved out to live on my own. It's been 10 years since I last went home, except for Christmas. Home had become even more bothersome in the last 5 years since Nicole was there. Despite it being an unavoidable family meeting, the thought of going to my parents' house was too distressing. I've said it many times, but my brother and his wife are really difficult. I kept reminding my fiancé, Andy. "Don't worry. Your brother might be a piece of work, but your parents are decent, right? I just need to thank them for letting me meet you, Jessica, and greet them. It won't be weird." He said this with his usual carefree smile. I'm still worried. Finally, we arrived at my family home. "Oh my, you finally come!" Mom greeted us cheerfully. You've done well to come, Dad repeated, his smile a bit strained. Maybe that's just how fathers feel when their 30-some daughters are finally getting married. It's a happy occasion, but still, it's a complex feeling. I introduced my fiancé, Andy. We talked about the wedding and the future, and time passed pleasantly with trivial chit-chat. But then, the moment arrived. So, the sister who hardly ever comes home has returned, Derek said as he walked in, a perfect first dose of sarcasm. Derek, what about work? Andy and I had taken paid leave to come here, but it was a weekday. Derek was supposed to be at work. In fact, that's why we had chosen this day to visit. Derek and Nicole were living with my parents not because they wanted to, but because they had no money. To avoid them, we planned our visit like this. Yet, here he was, home in the middle of the day. When I asked him, looking puzzled, Derek smirked and said in a snarky tone, "How could I miss the meeting of my dear sister's fiancé?" That's what I said. I wanted to say that we didn't need him there, but I held back, and an awkward silence fell. Sensing the tension, "Nice to meet you, Derek," Andy cheerfully greeted. He was so refreshing, almost too refreshing. It's like a halo was shining behind him with a forest backdrop, a moment of healing in my mind. I heaped endless praise on my fiancé. Derek's face, on the other hand, was slightly contorted. He was obviously not used to dealing with someone as strong-willed. Throughout, Derek seemed overwhelmed by Andy's constant smiling. "Then I'm back," a voice echoed, followed by the sound of someone returning. "Hi, is Jessica here?" Nicole, my sister-in-law, showed her face. Derek's salary alone wasn't enough for them to live on, so of course she also worked. Which begs the question, why wasn't she at work? Stunned by the sudden arrival of Derek and Nicole, my parents and I watched as Derek boldly sat down next to me. Why? And then Nicole, for some reason, sat next to Andy. Why, what's with that face? Derek, the complete opposite of my refreshing fiancé, wore a dark, ugly, sarcastic smile. When I asked what that smile meant, "Well, I'm just surprised someone would marry someone like you," the second wave of sarcasm hit. "What? Hey, what's your name?" Derek rudely asked my fiancé. When Andy responded, "So, Andy, if you want to call off the marriage, now's your chance." What is he starting now? "Hey, Derek, as you can see, she's not much to look at, but marrying her would be an even bigger mistake. She's truly hopeless and an awful person." "Hey!" I tried to stop him, but Derek wouldn't quit. "Call off the marriage before you regret it," he declared. As I was grinding my teeth, trying to come up with a response, "Don't worry, Jessica is a wonderful woman. I'm the one who needs to try harder not to be dumped by her," my fiancé said, with a refreshingly sincere smile. Oh, what a relief. My anger towards Derek was instantly dissipated by that refreshing breeze. At that moment, Nicole, who had been watching, said, "Andy, was it? You're kind. Where do you work?" My company is corporation," Andy responded. "Ah, a decent company, huh? So you must be earning a good salary." "Well, I guess it's average." They started chatting. Derek is one thing, but Nicole is something else. Asking such things of someone you've just met. "Hey, Nicole." "What, Jessica?" "It's important for marriage, isn't it? I'm just making sure your precious daughter doesn't end up with the wrong man, so Patrick and the rest don't have to worry." "That's none of your business. This should have been settled when we first talked about marriage. I must have already told my parents about what kind of man he is before bringing him home, but I couldn't say that in front of Andy, so I just grimaced. While this was happening, Nicole started draping herself over Andy's arm. "Hey, Nicole." "What?" "I'm just trying to get along with my brother-in-law, so be quiet." No, that's going too far, right, Derek?" I thought surely even Derek would see this as too much, but there he was, drinking beer in the middle of the day. "What are you doing?" "What? I'm just toasting to my poor sister's miserable marriage." Toasting to something miserable? Everything was chaos. My parents were confused and couldn't handle the assertive Derek and Nicole. DK was drunk, and Nicole was making advances on Andy. As Andy tried to push her away, she clung on more tightly. I tried to pull her off. "What is this madness? I'm so sorry about my family." "No, it's okay. It's more than I was told. You've had it tough, Jessica." As we were leaving, Andy said that to me and affectionately patted my head. Such a refreshing breeze despite the troubles at the family meeting. Once it was over, there was no need to see Derek and Nicole again, and things went smoothly. Then, finally, on the day of the wedding. Oh, I'm so nervous. I was the one looking tense in the bridal room. Are you okay, Jessica? Mom, seeing my poor complexion and serious face, had called Andy over, and he was comforting me. He really is too good of a husband for me. Just as I was starting to feel better and ready to go on, here I am. Derek had arrived. With a loud noise, the door opened and a storm entered. I had a bad feeling, and Derek's entrance was even more unsettling than I had imagined. Derek, be mindful of the time and place, Mom warned. Shut up, Mom. I have something to say to that guy. He was almost picking a fight. That guy? When Derek pointed, it was Andy, my soon-to-be husband. Me? Andy looked confused. Turning to me, Derek said, The man you're marrying today, your husband, got my wife pregnant. What? I couldn't help but scream at the sudden bombshell. The pregnancy was confirmed at the gynecologist. It happened at a time I don't recall. In other words, my wife Nicole has been unfaithful. Cheating aside, how could it possibly be Andy? Nicole said. So what? I was completely flustered by the situation, confused. I looked back and forth between Nicole and my husband. No, I have absolutely no memory of that. My husband hurriedly denied it, but at that moment, Nicole, who had been shrinking behind Derek, suddenly crumbled to the floor and started crying. I'm sorry, Andy. I told the truth about our relationship. What? Andy was the one who exclaimed in surprise. I'm sorry, Derek. It was just a moment of weakness. Now Nicole was apologizing to Derek and started crying out, How dare you damage our marriage? Pay compensation. Derek then lunged at Andy. Dad and other relatives desperately held him back. For a while, the room echoed with Derek's heavy breathing and Nicole's crying. Not understanding the situation, Andy and I looked at each other. A moment of silence followed. I was the first one to start laughing, and Andy couldn't hold back either. Once we started, we couldn't stop. Tears streamed down my face, ruining my makeup as I laughed, and everyone around us just stared in disbelief. What the heck? Why are you laughing? Derek was getting irritated. Because you know, right, Andy? Yeah, Jessica. We looked at each other with tears in our eyes and burst out laughing again. How can you laugh in this situation? Just pay the compensation. Nicole was the one who yelled at us, angry and asking for money on top of that. It was just too absurd, making me double over with laughter. What a laugh. You know, a child between me and Andy is just impossible. What? I gently wiped my tears with a tissue and said. As Nicole tilted her head, I smiled. It's impossible for us to have a child, and repeated, What do you mean? What are you talking about? Nicole was completely confused. The skin of the monster has completely peeled off. I looked at Andy to see if it was okay to tell, and he nodded slightly. So I looked back at Derek and Nicole. See, Andy has a fertility issue. There's a 0% chance of natural conception. What? Derek exclaimed in surprise. It's confirmed by medical tests. We can even bring the diagnosis if you like. But that's a lie. I am pregnant, Nicole said, now looking panicked. So if the pregnancy is real, the father isn't Andy. If we were to have a child, we'd need injections, medication, and in vitro fertilization. It would require treatment. What? Nicole's face turned even paler. Then she looked at Derek, who was staring at her with an incredulous expression. Hey, Nicole, what the hell is this? You said you cheated on me with Andy, right? Yes, I did. Andy contacted me, and I couldn't refuse because of his intimidating aura. But it was just a moment of weakness. I only love you, Derek. Only you. But they're saying Andy can't have children. Who did you really cheat with? It's a lie Andy made up. No way, that's impossible. I was just astonished at Nicole's implausible story. From the day of the family meeting when Nicole first met Andy until today, we've been almost constantly together, busy with wedding preparations and planning our life together. Do you think there was time for an affair? That's when Derek said, "You said you were meeting Andy frequently during the day and weekends having an affair, right?" "Yes, that's right. Jessica, don't lie." No, Nicole, that lie is just too much." She was desperate to pin the affair on Andy. Well, let's all just calm down for a moment. Unexpectedly, it was Dad who spoke up. His normal tone was almost disarming, but then Dad made a not-so-normal statement. "Since both of you are cheating on each other, let's just call it even." I wondered if calling it even was really appropriate in this situation. I couldn't grasp Dad's words right away and blurted out a dumbfounded response. "Derek too? Huh? And Nicole as well? Huh?" All three of us were in sync. "Wait, Dee, what are you saying? Jessica might not know, but living together, Mary and I have seen it all." "Huh? What?" I was confused and struggling to understand, but Dad just gave me his usual normal smile. "Hey, old man, stop talking nonsense." "What nonsense? It's the truth, isn't it?" Dad calmly responded to the panicking Derek. At this point, normal was scary. "Patrick, what do you mean?" Nicole asked, and Mom, smiling normally, replied, "So you see, Derek has been seeing another woman. He often skips work to meet her, even arranging rendezvous in front of our house. We couldn't help but notice." "What?" Nicole couldn't help but exclaim. "Nicole, meeting men at the nearby station isn't wise. We've had numerous sightings from neighbors." "What?" This time it was Derek who shouted. According to our parents, both Derek and Nicole were often seen in the neighborhood meeting with unknown members of the opposite sex, linking arms and heading off together. Not only our parents, but also the neighbors had witnessed it, and rumors had reached their ears. So both Nicole and Derek were cheating. What a mess. "Hey, Nicole, what the hell are you cheating for?" "Oh, you're the one to talk. You're cheating too." "I didn't get the other woman pregnant." "Well, I didn't plan to get pregnant either." "What are you, shameless?" "That's it. We're getting a divorce. Pay me compensation." "What did you say?" "I'll be the one leaving you. You pay compensation." Wow, this was a real mess. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, Dad snapped his fingers. Suddenly, uncles and adult cousins came in, grabbed Derek and Nicole, and pulled them out of the room. Throughout, Derek and Nicole were accusing each other. "It's your fault." "No, it's your fault." What an unsightly exit. After they left, their voices faded away and finally disappeared. I later heard that our uncles had firmly lectured them and sent them away. The room fell silent. "I'm so sorry." Reflecting on the chaos, I deeply apologized to Andy, my soon-to-be husband. "Aren't you regretting marrying into a family like mine?" That was my biggest worry. I was prepared for the possibility that the wedding might be called off, but then I was enveloped in a gentle warmth. Andy embraced me. "I'm okay. I love you no matter what happens, and I will protect you for the rest of my life." The moment he said that, tears just started flowing from my eyes. Afterward, redoing my makeup was a hassle, but the professionals fixed it beautifully. Then, as the happiest bride in the world, I had a joyous wedding. As for what happened to Derek and Nicole, they obviously got divorced. They just kept hurling insults at each other, never having a proper conversation, and it even went to court. It was a real mess. They were both cheating, yet blamed each other so vehemently. Eventually, their parents intervened with lawyers, and somehow they settled it. In the end, it was a draw, with no compensation paid by either party. Nicole's baby turned out not to be Derek's, so there was no child support. The father of Nicole's baby was apparently her married boss, and that situation also became a big mess. Eventually, Nicole, abandoned by her affair partner, was dragged back to her parents' home. She was crying and making a scene, and my parents just sighed over it. As for Derek, his affair partner was also married, and her husband found out. Of course, she dumped Derek, and then I saw my normally calm parents get really angry for the first time. "Jessica has been troubled enough by you not working properly and fooling around with your affair partner. We don't know such a son. Get out now." They nearly kicked Derek out. It's true, when normal people get angry, it's really scary. I don't know what happened to Derek after that. Apparently, he was frequently skipping work for his affairs and got fired, so I wonder how he'll live now, but honestly, I don't care. Regardless of everything else, I'll never forgive him for insulting Andy on our wedding day. It's one thing to mess with me, but it's completely unacceptable to harm Andy. That's how madly in love I am with Andy. Andy continues to bring a refreshing breeze into my life. A new happiness is coming to our happy home. I'm looking forward to meeting them. That's what Andy says as he gently touches my stomach. A life is growing inside. The fertility treatment was tough, but I happily became pregnant. There will be more challenges ahead, but I'm sure it'll be okay. With the kind and wonderful Andy and our beloved child, I feel that we'll build a happy, ordinary family.